My name is Olivia Green, and for the past 10 years, my world has been confined to the four walls of my little house. It wasn't always like this. Once, I was just a normal teenager, bright-eyed, hopeful, and full of dreams. But life has a way of breaking you in ways you never see coming. It started with my parents' accident. One rainy night, they went out to grab dinner and never came back. The police called it a tragic collision, but to me, it was the end of everything safe. I was 16, suddenly alone, and the world outside became a monster I couldn't face. So I retreated. I built a life indoors, remote work as a freelance web designer, groceries delivered, and conversations limited to pixels on a screen. My only company was my cat, Miso, and the occasional voice of my therapist over video calls. But today was different. For the first time in a decade, I stood at my front door, my hand trembling on the knob. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. The sunlight streaming through the peephole seemed too bright, too alive. You can do this. Just 5 minutes, just to the mailbox and back. I took a deep breath and stepped outside. The air was crisp, the scent of blooming jasmine hitting me like a forgotten memory. My legs wobbled as I walked down the path, my skin prickling with the unfamiliar sensation of the breeze. I kept my head down, my dark curls acting as a shield against the world. I didn't see him, but he saw me. Daniel Oliver wasn't supposed to be there. He wasn't the kind of man who wandered through quiet suburban streets. Billionaires didn't stroll. They were driven in blacked-out cars, hidden behind tinted windows. But fate had other plans. He was in the neighborhood for a property acquisition, a new high-rise project. His sharp eyes, always scanning for opportunity, caught sight of me instead. And for the first time in his ruthless, calculated life, Daniel Oliver was stunned. Later, his private investigator would describe the moment to me. He just stopped, like the world paused. Then he said, "Find her," like it was the only thing that mattered. But I didn't know that then. I grabbed my mail, bills, ads, nothing important, and rushed back inside, my chest heaving with both terror and triumph. I did it. I actually did it. Little did I know that single step outside had set something unstoppable in motion. Because 3 days later, an envelope arrived at my door. No postmark, no return address. Just my name written in elegant, bold script. Inside was a single black rose and a note. "I saw you, now I'll find you." Daniel Oliver wasn't a man who believed in love at first sight. Love was a weakness, a distraction, something for poets and fools. He built his empire on cold logic, ruthless deals, and an unshakable will. At 34, he was the youngest self-made billionaire in the city, feared and revered in equal measure. And yet, the moment he saw me, something inside him shattered. I was a fleeting shadow. Dark curls, wide eyes, a hesitant step as if the world might swallow me whole. I had looked up just once, just for a second, and in that moment, Daniel felt something he couldn't name. It wasn't just attraction, it was need. "I want her name. I want everything." His voice was low, dangerous, as he addressed the 2 private investigators standing in his penthouse office. The city's skyline glittered behind him, a kingdom he ruled with an iron fist. But none of it mattered now. Not when I was out there. The investigators exchanged glances. They were used to tracking down business rivals, stolen assets, runaway debtors, not some random woman from the suburbs. "Sir, with all due respect," one of them ventured carefully, "we don't have much to go on, just a street and a vague description." Daniel's jaw tightened. He turned slowly, his deep black eyes burning with something dark. "Then find more." Days passed. Dark circles etched themselves beneath Daniel's eyes, the kind that no amount of coffee could erase. His penthouse, usually a place of sharp order, had become a den of scattered files and half-empty whiskey glasses. Sleep was a fleeting thing. When it came at all, it was fractured by dreams of her face, that fleeting glimpse of wide, frightened eyes before she disappeared into the crowd. He canceled meetings, ignored calls. His assistant's voice had taken on a wary edge, but he barely registered it. The board could wait. The deals could stall. None of it mattered. His mind was a locked room with only one occupant. Her. Who was she? Why had she looked at him like that, like she had seen a ghost? Why had she vanished so quickly, slipping away before he could even call out? He had replayed the moment 1,000 times. The way the sunlight had caught the copper in her hair. The way her breath hitched before she turned and fled. It wasn't just curiosity that gnawed at him. It was something deeper, something primal. She had seen him. And then she had run. His investigators finally delivered a file. Thin, disappointingly so, but it was enough to pour gasoline on the embers of his obsession. Olivia Green. 26, freelance web designer, though her digital footprint was nearly non-existent. No Facebook, no Instagram, no traces of her in tax records, public directories, or even old-school alumni pages. Just a name, an age, and an address. And then, the detail that made his pulse stutter. She hasn't left her house in nearly a decade. Daniel's fingers traced the words on the page, the paper rough under his touch. A recluse. A ghost. A woman who had walled herself away from the world so completely that even the most dogged investigators could barely find proof she existed at all. And yet, she had stepped outside. For him. I hadn't. He knew that, logically. Whatever had drawn me out that day, it couldn't have been him. But logic had nothing to do with the way his chest tightened at the thought. In his mind, it was fate. A sign. A thread meant to be pulled. The file offered no answers, only more questions. And Daniel had never been good at leaving questions alone. He couldn't approach me directly, not yet. I was fragile, a startled bird that would fly away if he moved too fast. So he started small. A single black rose. A note. I saw you. Now I'll find you. It wasn't a threat, not to him. It was a promise. He imagined me opening it. Would my hands shake? Would I be afraid? Good. Fear was just the beginning. Daniel never dreamed. Or if he did, he never remembered. But now, she haunted him even in sleep. Her voice, soft, hesitant, whispering his name. Her lips parting as he traced his fingers down her throat. Her body trembling beneath his, not in fear, but in want. He woke up hard, aching, furious at the emptiness of his bed. She belonged here, with him, and he would make sure she knew it. A week later, another envelope arrived at Olivia's door. This time, there was no rose, just a photograph. Her photograph, taken yesterday through her living room window, and beneath it, scrawled in the same bold script, "You can't hide from me, little ghost, and you won't want to." My hands trembled as I held the photograph. Him. I didn't know his name, but I knew his presence. The way the air thickened when he was near, the way her pulse betrayed her every time she thought of that note. I saw you. Now I'll find you. And he had. The photo was proof. He had been watching her, waiting. I should have been terrified. And yet, a traitorous warmth curled low in my stomach. I had forced myself to go. Another small, trembling step in reclaiming the life I had lost. The grocery store was crowded, buzzing with the mundane chatter of shoppers, the squeak of carts, and the hum of fluorescent lights overhead. I clutched my basket like a shield, my fingers tightening around the handle as if it could anchor me to reality. Every step felt heavy, deliberate. My eyes darted nervously, scanning the aisles as if expecting danger to leap from behind the neatly stacked shelves. I had spent months avoiding places like this. Too many people, too many chances of being recognized. But today I had promised myself I would try, and then, him. Tall, impossibly so, broad-shouldered, with an aura of command that made the very air around him seem to still. He was dressed in a gray hoodie, the kind that whispered of wealth and power, the fabric so fine it probably cost more than my entire wardrobe. His presence was magnetic, drawing glances from other shoppers, though he seemed entirely indifferent to their attention. Daniel Oliver. I recognized him instantly. His face was everywhere, gracing the covers of business magazines, flashing across financial news segments. The city's most ruthless billionaire. The man who built empires with one hand and shattered competitors with the other. And he was walking straight toward me. My breath hitched, my chest tightening as if an invisible hand had wrapped around my lungs. Instinct screamed at me to run. I turned sharply, my shoulder bumping into a display of cereal boxes. The colorful boxes wobbled precariously, and I barely managed to steady one before it toppled. But fate had other plans. A strong hand caught my wrist, stopping me mid-step. Careful. His voice was deep, smooth, sending a shiver down my spine. You wouldn't want to run before we've even met. My heart hammered. His grip was firm but not painful, his thumb brushing lightly over my racing pulse. I don't know you, I whispered, though the lie burned on my tongue. His lips curved, slow and knowing. But I know you, Olivia. Daniel was patient. He didn't push, didn't crowd me. Instead, he wooed me. Flowers arrived daily, not the intimidating black rose, but soft peonies, gardenias, lilacs, notes written in elegant script. Tell me your favorite book. I'll read it just to know your mind. What's the one place you've always wanted to go? I'll take you there. I tried to resist. I should have resisted. But 10 years of isolation had left me starving for connection. And Daniel? He was a feast. He showed up at my doorstep one evening, holding 2 cups of hot chocolate. No cameras, no bodyguards, just us, he said, his voice softer than I'd ever heard it. I hesitated. Then, for the first time in a decade, I invited someone inside. We talked for hours. Not about his wealth or her fear, but about silly things. Favorite movies, childhood memories. The way I laughed when Miso knocked over his cup. And when Daniel finally left, pressing a chaste kiss to her knuckles, Olivia realized something terrifying. I wanted him to come back. It was raining the night I finally broke. A thunderstorm shook the windows, sending me into a panic, memories of my parents' accident flooding back. I curled into myself, shaking, until my phone buzzed. Open the door. Daniel stood on my porch, drenched, his hair plastered to his forehead. Without a word, he pulled me into his arms. I stiffened, then melted. His heartbeat was steady against my ear, his arms a fortress against the storm. I've got you, he murmured into my hair. I'll always have you. And for the first time in 10 years, I believed it.